In this video, we'll look at the 10 smallest towns in the United States. In a recent video here at City Facts, we created a bar chart race of the largest cities in the US from 1790 to 2020. Now, I was going to try to do the same thing with the smallest towns in the US, but that would probably be the most boring bar chart race in the history of bar chart races. So instead, I've decided to make this video for you all that shares with you the 10 smallest towns in the United States. Now, in order to make this list, it actually has to be considered an incorporated town, not just some random grouping of people who claim to be in a town. This is actually identified as a town. Number 10, Makanda, Illinois, with a population of 536. Now, this may be a small town, but there's actually a lot going on here with a variety of festivals happening throughout the year. The Makanda Spring Fest is an annual 2-day event with local artists and live music, while the Makanda Vulture Festival in October celebrates the migration of the black vulture and the turkey vulture to the region. The town itself is a little quirky, full of artists and entrepreneurs and many unique shops and businesses. Number 9. Bell Buckle, Tennessee. The population here is 541. I was going to say about, but I think they know pretty precisely. This town is actually listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and it's been around since 1852. It's actually now a thriving arts community. I don't know what's going on. These are two little towns in a row here who have a big arts community. It has a unique row of shops and eateries, and it's home to many area festivals. The Bell Buckle Cafe is particularly famous, which has become a hub for musical talent from all over Tennessee. The town itself is surrounded by farms, rolling hills, and walking horse ranches. Number 8, Marshall, California. The population of 400. This city is named after the Marshalls, who were 4 brothers who established a dairy industry here in the late 1850s. Later, this became a stop along the North Pacific Coast Railroad. Marshall is a good place to come if you love oysters. Hog Island Oyster Company serves world-famous, fresh, hand-raised, sustainable, raw, and barbecued oysters. Maybe they should just change this place to Oyster, California. Number 7, Harpers, Ferry, West Virginia, with a population of 291. Now, you might have heard this name before. This is actually a very important historical city, despite the fact that it's one of the 10 smallest towns in the United States. In Harpers Ferry, you can find a Civil War museum and John Brown's Fort. If you don't know the story of John Brown, I recommend you look it up. He was an early abolitionist who dedicated his life to ending slavery. You can also visit here the Harpers Ferry National Historical Park, where there are living historical demonstrations and workshops focused on 19th century trades such as blacksmithing and tin making. Quite an interesting historical city, despite the fact that only 291 people live here. I gotta say, so far these 3 towns are pretty interesting considering they're so tiny. Number 6. Zoar Village, Ohio, with a population of 161. This was founded in the early 1800s by a group of Germans who wanted to create a utopian community. It thrived for a very long time, and today it still gives off a historical vibe with museums, early American architecture. There's a quaint village there, so it's still got a very historic vibe and an interesting place to visit. Next up, we've got Balltown, Iowa, with a population 69. Now, Balltown is actually the home to Iowa's oldest restaurant, Breitbach's Country Dining, which has been in operation since 1852 and continues to be the heart of this community. Come on here for some fried chicken and homemade pie, but otherwise you'll probably be pretty bored here as there's nothing much to do, but you got a ball, play some ball in Balltown. That's a corny joke, sorry. Next up, we've got Ohiopyle, Pennsylvania, with a population of 57. Now, this is actually a very popular place for outdoor adventurers to come for fly fishing and whitewater rafting and hiking. There's a state park nearby and a network of hiking and biking trails, so it's a good place to come if you just want some outdoor adventure. Number 3 on this list is the Forks, Maine, with a population of 32. This is a popular destination for Maine's whitewater rafting enthusiasts. Groups will also come for ATV tours and mountain biking and rock climbing and snowshoeing in the winter. So not a lot of people, but quite a lot to do if you enjoy the outdoors. Number 2, Dorset, Minnesota, with a population of 22.
Dorset is best known for 2 things, being the self-proclaimed restaurant capital of the world and electing a 3-year-old mayor by the name of James Tufts. But it's re-election season at the annual Dorset Days. Could Tufts be taken down? Matt Henson has more.
He may be small, but he has done big things.
We are voting for you.
4-year-old James Tufts is campaigning for last-second votes.
What are you going to change?
Do the same thing.
Hoping to win re-election as mayor of Dorset. How do you think your first term as mayor went?
Great.
Why do you think it went so great?
Because I time being so awesome.
Now, despite only having 22 people, there are actually 4 restaurants here, making this town have more per capita restaurants than any other town in the entirety of the US. So they have dubbed themselves the restaurant capital of the world. Number 1, smallest town in the United States, Monowi, Nebraska, with a population of 1. Monowi was established in 1902 when the railroad extended into this area. It's the only incorporated town in the country with a population of 1, though you can find some rural areas that might be considered towns by some with that same population. This one's actually incorporated. Elsie Eiler is the population of the town. She serves as the town's mayor, the town's clerk, treasurer, librarian, and bartender at the one local business called Elsie's Tavern. Don't know much else about Monowi, but what else is there to really say about a town with a population of 1? If you ever decide to move your family there, I don't know. If you ever wanted to be a mayor, you wouldn't have so much competition. Just you and your spouse could outvote Elsie, become the leader of this small town. Not even call it a small town. I think it's too small for that word. Gotta come up with a new word. Hope you enjoyed this. Please come back for lots of cool videos about different towns and cities in the US and around the world. Thanks for supporting the channel. See you next time.